Welcome to the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the psychology of darker desires. I'm Em, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm a psychosexuality nerd with a background in psychology, sociology, medical science, and Tantra. I'm also in a 24/7 collared relationship, and I created this podcast with the mission of humanizing kinksters. Join me here for one-on-one, in-depth conversations as we explore the fascinating world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. If you love what we're doing here in the erotic realm, I'd like to ask you a quick favour. Can you follow and rate the show wherever you listen? It helps the show reach more people like you. And if you haven't yet, I'd love if you could subscribe to my Substack, Psychology of Desire. This is where I go even deeper into the science and symbolism of desire, archetypes, and erotic evolution. You'll get access to articles, unique surveys and research, and behind-the-scenes access to everything I'm building. Simply visit psychologyofdesire.substack.com. I'll see you there. And now, for today's episode. The following conversation is with Genevieve, founder of Skirt Club, a global community redefining female desire and bisexual freedom. We explore the psychology of curiosity, the culture of bisexual awakening, and the movement that's changing how women connect to their erotic selves. From shame to liberation, from secrecy to celebration, this episode traces the arc of a modern sexual revolution, one that began quietly in private rooms filled with women, unlearning everything they were told about desire. For anyone curious about the intersection of erotic psychology, gender, and freedom, this conversation is a map of what happens when women create their own erotic spaces. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today, I am honoured to explore the erotic realm of someone shaping a global movement in women's sexuality, the founder of Skirt Club, Genevieve. Welcome, Genevieve.
Oh, thank you for having me on, Em. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. So before we jump into Skirt Club and your eroticism, I'd love to hear just a bit about who you are outside of these realms. What fills your days and what brings you joy in your everyday world outside of sexuality?
For me, pleasure is often in nature and silence,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people don't do much of anymore. But you'll find me walking in woods alone a lot, and that is definitely my zone of pleasure at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Sounds lovely. Okay, so now let's get into the fun stuff. Can you tell us how you identify in terms of your sexuality and kinky self?
Absolutely. So I am a bisexual woman. On the Kinsey scale, I'm either a 2 or 3, depending on how I'm feeling that day.
Mm-hmm.
And my kinky self, I definitely lean to be towards being a dom, with both men and women, and in the bedroom. So in day-to-day life, no, but when it comes to sex and sexuality in the bedroom, I'm definitely leaning on the dominant side.
Mm-hmm. So do you switch with either gender, or are you basically a pure dom with both?
With men, I will switch,
Mm-hmm.
but with women, I've always been the dominant one, and it's hard to explain why it just goes that way. I don't think we can predict. I've met many women who have surprised me. They've been so shy, quiet, petal, a little flower, and then in the bedroom, an absolute demon. And it's you never really know what you're going to get, hey,
Mm-hmm.
until the curtains are closed. But with men, of course, it's energy, right? It's always that. So depending on who the person is, yeah, we tend to just quickly to find the dynamic that works best for us.
Mm-hmm. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your bisexual journey. When did you first realize that you were bisexual, and what was that journey like for you?
Okay, so interesting because this is a long time ago in the UK, and I was born into a very traditional family. So being bisexual wasn't going to be a welcomed topic, put it that way. And I knew, even before I knew about my sexuality, that it was a sin or a shame. So let's see, I'm going to say it was 2002, and I would have been 22. And I would have just finished university. I've come to London to live. And I noticed that I kept, every time I had a little drink, I ended up making out with a girl at the club. Um, yeah, and by the way, back in those days, that's how you met people. There were no apps. No, I mean, I had a phone, but it wasn't an iPhone. It was a Nokia. And yeah, it just kept happening again. Like my friends would be pulling boys and they'd take them home, and I'd be making out with girls in clubs. I'm not taking them home because I didn't want anyone to know, and I'd hide about it as well. I wouldn't tell them. And I'd wake up in the morning, you know, when you used to wake up, you're like, oh my God, what did I do last night? And there'd be this cringe of absolute shame. Did anyone see me? Covering my tracks, you know, explaining where I'd gone for an hour. And yeah, so I don't think I even knew what the term bisexual was, to be honest. It was just, I liked girls and I liked boys.
So at that point in your life, had you heard of the term bisexuality at all?
No, I don't think I had.
Mm.
Because I didn't have a label for it, that was for sure. And I was hiding it for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when you first came across the label and realized that's me?
Yeah, I was older. Let's see, now I'm like 24, and I've gone on a ski season as a rep, right? So I was a seasonaire. I was in Courchevel, France, and it was I was running two hotels and some guest chalets, and there would be a turnover of guests from the UK like every Saturday. And this one week, I was hosting one of my guests because I ran the pub crawl, of course. I started young, and you know, she propositioned me at the end of the pub crawl in the club. It's always in the club, and she said, "May I kiss you?" And I did not see it coming at all. I thought we were getting on great all night. We were laughing and joking, and like it was fun to hang out with her. It did not occur to me once that she was attracted to me. And then of course, I said yes, and this kiss blew my mind. She told me she was gay, and I thought, well, what does that make me? And she said it makes you bisexual, and that's when I realized I had a term for what I felt, which was nice. It felt like I found a home for my sensations.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mhm.
So before we go deeper, for listeners who may not know, what is Skirt Club? What happens in these spaces that you've created?
Well, I funneled all that passion into the biggest passion project on earth and created Skirt Club in 2013. And it's for women like me. You know, I was bi, couldn't find others who felt the same. And a lot of the women who joined Skirt Club tend to identify as bicurious, looking for a safe place to discover their bisexuality. And they're not sure how to go about it. You know, it's very overwhelming being a woman hitting on another woman because we're
Mm-hmm.
so used to guys making the first move. So I had come across this issue of going to gay bars, going to lesbian bars, trying to find women that I could connect with, and being turned down a lot. And it wasn't doing anything for my confidence. And so Skirt Club is a place where every woman is in the same boat. We're a yes in terms of we're into boys and girls, and potentially you too. So it's a community for bicurious and bisexual women. It's global. We're now, yes, after 12 years, we're now in 36 cities. We have a membership of 26,000 women, and we host events all over the world. And I'll be coming to Australia very soon to host 3 events in early December. So I'm very excited. We've been in Australia now, let's see, since 2016. So 9 years we've been operating, hosting events in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. And we have a beautiful membership there of 8,000 women. So I can't wait to say hi to the ladies.
Wow, that's amazing growth. And it shows how much needed this group that you've created and this experience that you've created for bisexual women. So thank you for that. So if Skirt Club had a heartbeat, like a moment or emotion that captures its essence, what comes to mind when I ask this question? What would that be?
Mm. It's a flutter more than a heartbeat, I think, because the
Mm,
giddiness of discovering yourself can really take over. Um, And it was this essence for me that it set me free. I was in this prison of I have a dark secret, or I have a secret, right? And I hadn't realized just how much that was taxing or weighing on me.
Mm.
And when I started calling myself bisexual and being out about it, um, God, the relief, you know, and it was more about me accepting myself. Actually, everyone else didn't care so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I had thought that they would care more, actually. But a lot of the shame was within me. And so that flutter I'm talking about is the excitement of being able to do what you want freely without judgment and, yeah, without shame. And I just want to set every woman free, you know, just to
Mm.
be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel if we have one purpose in life, it is just to be yourself. A lot of us don't even get there. We don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I consider Skirt Club that safe place to figure it out, because it really is a no judgment zone. Every woman there is different. Bisexual, yes, but different in in the way they explore that and what it is they're looking for within bisexuality. It's a big spectrum. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's every version of what women wants to be. And a lot of our women are using pseudonyms still. They're still coming incognito. Um, and that makes them feel comfortable, whilst they're in the exploratory stage. And so, yeah, the flutter of being set free is how I would call that.
Mm-hmm. That's really powerful. So, do you have women of all ages coming to Skirt Club?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had a 7 to 9 year old
Oh, wow.
at a New York party in June. Yeah, and I had to go shake her hand. I was like, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, it's new for me. And I only discovered my bisexuality when I was 72. So,
Wow.
my husband knows all about it. He dropped her off.
Oh.
And she was there looking beautiful. She'd done her hair and she got the theme right. It was rodeo disco. So she was in glitter and silver, and she had a cowboy hat. And um,
Mm.
I just, the courage,
Mm-hmm.
to show up,
Mm-hmm.
because she would have known damn well that she was a lot older than most of our members there, but she wasn't going to let pass her by. This was her moment. This was her
Mm.
time to figure it out, and she was by far the most excited person in the room.
Adorable. And it's never too late to discover yourself. And she demonstrates that. So that's really lovely. Good on her.
Yeah,
Now, one of our
yeah,
traditions on
yeah.
this show is bringing in a quote that helps deepen the conversation. And for you and the work you're doing with Skirt Club and the thousands of women you've watched awaken, I kept on coming back to a sentence by Alfred Kinsey, which you already mentioned before. So he wrote this in 1948. And for anyone listening who doesn't know his work, Kinsey was a pioneering sex researcher, the first to scientifically study human sexual behavior at scale. And his research challenged the idea that sexuality is neat, binary, or easily categorized. And he said, only the human mind invents categories and tries to force facts into separate pigeonholes. And I love this because of how you're describing Skirt Club. It seems to be exactly what it pushes against, that everyone has a different sexuality that's showing up. So does this quote mirror what you see inside Skirt Club? You kind of covered it already, but perhaps you could speak to a couple of the different types of women that you see quite commonly turning up to Skirt Club.
Yeah, I would say these women don't know anything about
Mm.
sexuality when they show up. I mean,
Mm.
they've probably married someone young, or they've got a long-term male partner, but they've probably been quite career focused, I've noticed as well, and they're
Mm-hmm.
very in their head, not in their body. So
Mm.
when they find a label, like they feel, oh, that explains me. But when they
Mm-hmm.
come to the event, of course, they realize there's far more to it. And the label bisexuality was just the first step into trying to identify yourself, and then realizing you can't, because you're going to love this and hate that and like a bit of more of this one. And then suddenly something will turn you on out of nowhere that you had never even considered. And all the kinks begin to appear. And kinks are also temporary, right? So what turns you on at this party might not the next one. And often it's the circumstance or the unexpected that can turn you on as well. The world, it's just so rich in flavor. There's no end to it. And
Because
I think
sometimes,
I really love that.
me too. I was just thinking because I think I've seen that you sometimes have shibari demonstrations and these sorts of kinks at events as well. Is that correct?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say Skirt Club was BDSM in any way. It's not. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
petal pink, but and
Mm-hmm.
bubble baths and champagne. But we'll do a theme for every event, right? So um, the one coming up in Melbourne on December 11th is called Written Stars, and it's very much about astrology and Cosmic Girl, and
Mm.
it's more fun, vibey. But then last week we did Web of Desire in Miami, and um, we had a dominatrix come in with her spanking bench, and she was flogging guests all night. um, so and the thing was latex and leather, right? So we flip around in everything because
Mm-hmm.
it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not? I want to discover all aspects of sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yep.
What else have we done? We've done shibari, yeah, a few times. My gosh, that's been very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's we also do like six senses where each room will be focused on a different sense, and obviously the orgasm room is the most popular, where
Oh,
there's some bed straps and a Hitachi wand, and one of our hostesses is administering the orgasm. There's always a queue out the door for that one. We've
oh
also
my
partnered with
goodness.
we've also partnered with women who like Dr. Love in Miami. She was quite great. She did the orgasm room. No wands this time, just a curved dildo, which matched with a vibrator is particularly powerful and very quick. Again, like it's great standing outside that room and hearing the orgasms cry from the room and the queue of people waiting who can't see yet, wondering what just happened, and how it'll happen to them very shortly. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like the anticipation.
Well, we have listeners in America and a lot of countries around the world, so perhaps they will be looking you up and turning up to an event like that soon as well, not just in Australia. Mm-hmm. So,
Wonderful.
yeah. So, another tradition on the podcast is exploring some research with you. And I wanted to discuss a book written by Dr. Julia Shaw, who wrote what is considered one of the first major books on the science, culture, and history of bisexuality. It's called Bi, The Hidden Culture, History and Science. So, Shaw argues that bisexual people are actually the world's largest sexual minority, yet they're often the most erased and misunderstood. So, how have you seen this showing up in the women who arrive at Skirt Club? Have you noticed that there is this stigma that they're working through and this bisexual invisibility that they've struggled with?
Most definitely. And by the way, we hosted Dr. Julia Shaw at a Skirt Club book event where she came and talked about her book, and we had an audience. It was in London, where she lives, and we felt that book was written for us. It
Mm,
was so on point. Yes, we a lot of women, like I said, they're not just bi-curious; they're just sexually curious as well, um, and they feel safer with women exploring it. Sometimes it's just that they might not actually be bisexual. It's just I need to know about myself more. Um, and because of shame, because of society, as I experienced firsthand, they don't know who to talk to. Who's going to listen to me? Who's
hmm
who's going to accept me for who I am? Who's going to bring me in, and who's in the same boat? Who can I explore with that also wants to find out? And the privacy element tells me just how important it is to them that they are in complete control of who knows. Um, like I said earlier, a lot of them are using pseudonyms. A lot of the emails we get, with fears around, will I bump him to Jill from next door at the party,
mm,
or my colleague from work? What happens then? And I'm like, well, listen, London's a big city. It's very likely. But it has happened. Actually, it was in the UK. Yeah. Well, it happened to be one of our team, but she said she was at the school gate picking up the kids and bumped into someone. She said, I know you from somewhere. And then they both smiled and And that was enough to be said about where they knew each other from, because the flashback was real,
Mm-hmm.
You're both in the same boat. Hey,
Yes.
so if you're concerned about your colleague finding out, well, she's probably concerned about you too. So
Mm-hmm.
just take comfort in that. And also, so what? It's
Yes.
it'll help you in your journey to be more open about who you are. And it pains people like to that it's just so much fear around,
Mm-hmm.
what will they think of me? Why do you care?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, one of my most breakthrough moments was just to stop caring what people think.
Mm.
It set me free in a way that I just got on with my life, and became more who I am. So that again is a gift.
What was the catalyst of that? Was that at the same time that you were owning your bisexuality, or was that later in life?
Yeah, I was probably like 36, 35 at the time. And yeah, that's later in life, honestly, compared to these days where women, age 18, get to date women and not have any
Mm-hmm.
shade thrown on that. It's become so normal. My nieces, well, one of them's already had a girlfriend at school, and she's not even hit 14 yet. So this is totally acceptable these days. But me at 35, I'm working in finance. It's a very male and dominated environment.
Mm.
And um, me even talking about sexuality is not happening. And I would never dare, right? It's the office,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's an office full of men. And I would just be fetishized for that. And men do fetishize women, girl on girl, for their pleasure. And so, that's part of the reason why you don't talk about it as well. Um,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
but definitely, as I experienced, I knew there was no option for me to have a discussion with a friend or a colleague about my sexuality. And so I was afraid. And then once I hosted Skirt Club, I didn't have a choice anymore, because it was very popular in the press all of a sudden. And I remember just this sort of like December 2014 moment where I was in 6 magazines and newspapers at once, and named and my face, and that was it. Cat was out of the bag.
Oh my
So
goodness.
um, yeah, and I had to go tell my mom and dad, and it was that they were, unfortunately for me, even though they weren't on the internet, they're in the 70s now. Um, they are subscribers to the Sunday Times newspaper, and it would land on their doorstep every
Mm.
Sunday. And so I had a 4-page spread coming out, and a part of me was like, well, I'm proud of this.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am in their favorite newspaper. I want them to know. Um, so I sat them down and I said, like, run these parties, they're kind of, I started lightly, they're burlesque parties for women only. And it's beautiful, there's theme and there's champagne and there's cocktails and it's very pretty. And my mum was loving it. Well, that's nice, darling. Um, because I also had a full-time job, right? So they didn't think for 1 minute that I was talking about anything but throwing a nice event, because how could I possibly have the time to fit that in? And so, um, and then explain, well, these are for women who also like women, in a sexual way. And then, the knife and fork dropped on the plate because it was dinner time. And that's what it did.
So
my,
dramatic.
my dad's just now choosing, yeah. Dad's just now choosing to ignore me and changing the topic into just about anything else. Very British. And my mother was like, because I'd also just got married, right? So, and that had come as a shock to them because that wasn't particularly planned either. And she looked at me, darling, but you're not a lesbian. And I said, no, I'm bisexual. And she, blank face, what is that? Never heard the term.
Mm.
Like,
Wow.
that my parents are beautifully naive in their
Mm-hmm.
innocence. And they met when they were 14 and they've only been with each other. It's
Aw.
very old school. So it's very cute. And they're still all over each other. It's kind of annoying, but
Aw.
as they're definitely still having sex. So I have to hear it all the time. Um, but good for them, hey. And yeah, they're still confused about the term. You're
Okay.
not a lesbian.
Oh, so even after all of this time, they're still not quite on board with it?
They've chosen just to, move on.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a very British thing and chose to sweep it under the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
however they need to deal with it, I guess. I had one more
Yeah,
question from Dr.
sure.
Shaw's book. So she
Mm.
describes bisexuality as a culture, not just an orientation. Do you agree that bisexuality is a culture?
Definitely in my lifetime. Um, Definitely for my members. We've created a culture around it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we had to create it, not other people, right? And I do find a lot of explanation of bisexuality is just to help other people get their head around it. We know how we feel because we're in our bodies. And we know that it's fluid and it's changing, and how we feel today is completely different to tomorrow. But that's our prerogative. So, because we're bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
Other people just see confusion. Um, I've been called greedy, on my
Mm-hmm.
way to be gay. Um,
Mm.
I'm like, no, I'm not confused about anything. I'm just having a great time, and I have, let's face it, more people available to me to choose from in my
Mm-hmm.
sexual life. So I just see it as particularly smart, actually, as a great move for any woman. Oh, the best
Ah,
of both worlds. Why not? I'll have my cake and eat it. Thank you very much.
yeah, why
Um,
not?
but yeah, it's a culture in a sense that we live and breathe it. We know how that feels. We know that it's about energy, not necessarily gender, actually. And it doesn't matter what body that comes in, because the attraction or the sexual connection comes from something else in a 5D, energy based, dimension, right? So, and I do feel that men and women divide there a little bit. Like, men are very much living in the 3D world of working, providing, doing. And women are living in this more energetic world of feeling and moving through energy and connection, and being able to have the foresight, of events that have yet to happen. So, that's how I feel about bisexuality. That there's, um, yeah, it's definitely a feeling. Therefore, having a culture around it helps.
Mm-hmm. Wonderfully said. Okay, so Genevieve, as part of our conversation today, I asked you to bring along something to share, such as a quote, book, or a movie that's influenced your eroticism. Can you share with us what you've brought along today and how it shaped your erotic realm?
Well, yes, I'm also going to reveal my age by sharing this quote, because, um, let's see, right? Okay, I'm 47 these days, and I started Skirt Club at age, I was 34, 35, right? So it's been a while, but the influences on me growing up as a young girl, were a lot less than what you have today. The West world is content rich, and I had, a CD player, and television was banned in my house. So, what I've got is music, and music did so much for me. It completely awoken me, into my sexuality, and it won't surprise you to hear that in the early 90s, I was heavily influenced by a lot of artists, but mostly Prince. And
Mm.
even my little British self by Goody Two Shoes, sitting in my bedroom most days because I wasn't allowed out to play. Even in the UK, I was so influenced by this tiny little, funk, funky prince in the middle of America, from a place I'd never heard of called Minneapolis. And his moves, like, I don't know what it was about it, his voice, his like sexy lyrics, um, like Cream, Get on Top. It
Mm-hmm.
just turned me on so much. I don't think I even ever saw the video. We didn't have, like, I think MTV existed, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. Um, but yeah, just his music got me. And imagination is a strong, powerful resource, let me tell you. If I could come up with a concept, like Skirt Club later in my life, it was born from being able to imagine things with very little, to review. So, yeah, Purple Rain, Cream, Get Off, all those songs, like, with his choice of incredibly tall, hot, sexy women, and it's just, yeah, it really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, There is one quote, and it's the quote from Purple Rain, of course. It's never wanted to cause you any pain. I only wanted to see you laughing in the purple rain. And for me, that meant, you know, my sexuality was mine to enjoy.
Mm.
And, I realized that it caused discomfort for friends and family sometimes, but it wasn't it wasn't for their pain. It wasn't for them. It was for me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
more and more these days, I lean into making myself happy. Um, just in order to make the world happy. Happiness comes from within, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something I always say to our members who are often mothers, sisters, friends, wives, trying to balance and juggle a lot of things at once. If your cup isn't full, no one in your life will be able to benefit from your love and your laughter and your happiness. So fill your cup, come fill it at Skirt Club, as one
Mm-hmm.
of those places you can
Mm-hmm.
let it run free. And I think they're just so relieved to hear that, because we're so lovely. We're trying to, we nurture, we please, we perform sometimes just to make others happy. And I really need women to stop doing that.
Mm.
It doesn't work long term. It works short term, temporarily, and you end up being the most
Mm-hmm.
miserable person in that equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do need to be selfish sometimes. It's not necessarily a bad word. Mm-hmm.
It's not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to unlearn that too, oh, as my parents would say, you're so selfish. And I'm like, but
Mm.
no, actually, I'm not. It's not a bad thing to put your own happiness first. In fact, everyone around me is going to benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been told that my laughter is infectious, because when I'm like truly happy, like you're going to catch the giggles from me too.
Mm-hmm.
Women just have that essence of frivolity, and to rid them from that for someone else's short gain, which I'd say men have got a lot used to. It doesn't serve anyone.
No, it really
She
doesn't.
wears many hats. Yeah, she needs all the energy she can get. Sorry, fill your cup, ladies.
Mm-hmm. Especially with sexual energy, it's the most powerful of all. Mm-hmm.
Why build a movement on that? So yeah, skirt skirt club was built on sexual energy. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm. So looking back over how many years it's been now since you created Skirt Club, I think you said 14, 17. I can't remember what you said.
12 years. It was
12 years.
2013 when we
Mm-hmm.
yeah
Mm-hmm.
we opened the company for our first event.
So how has Skirt Club changed you? What do you know about yourself now that you didn't know before?
Um, that I love compersion.
Mm.
Because I always quote, in my welcome speech, my pleasure is your pleasure, actually. And maybe this is a very feminine trait too, but I love watching her break through. I watch that moment where she realizes, or wakes up, quite honestly, that her pleasure is incredible, and that and it's not her orgasm, it's the liberation of being yourself, being wild, being hungry, enjoying another person in a way that you think only men do.
Mm.
No, women have desires just as much. There's little difference, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And giving her permission to be that person. So that compersion in her breakthrough moment is my absolute joy.
Mm. Okay, so this kind of goes into that a little bit, but I'd like you to think about a peak erotic experience that you've had that you're happy to share with us today, an experience that has really stuck with you.
You mean when I'm sexually involved, or when I'm overseeing?
Anything. It can be
Because at our
anything
events, I
erotic.
don't. Okay, then, like, obviously I've seen a lot, right? There's very
Mm-hmm.
little at this point I haven't witnessed. And just to be clear, like, I run play parties for Skirt Club. I run them. I'm the organizer, so I'm there, but I'm not playing, because it's important. There's a group of people, me and my event manager, at the very least, who remain totally sober, in charge, and overseeing. the well-being of our guests. So, but in that, I witness a lot of pleasure, and so there's always one moment that has stuck with me, and I had to take a photograph with my mind's eye because we don't allow cameras or phones at our events. But oh my God, if I can recreate this in a movie one day.
Mm.
But we were in New York, and we had this beautiful two-story penthouse in Tribeca. It's still there. It still exists. And we've been using this place as our venue for a couple of years, and it was still very much at the beginning of the journey. And um, I think New York was, having a moment with Skirt Club. It was so in love with this event because, or this community, because women were are very powerful in New York, right? They earn good money. They have professional jobs. They wear the pants, right? They're the more dominant kind in a relationship, and she's not afraid to have an opinion. So every event sold out. I mean, like 100 women for each party, and they'd show up head to toe in the finest lingerie. I mean, it was like an agent provocateur catwalk show.
Mm.
This was like shoot to kill, and women would New York women come with a strategy. I watch them walk in, I see them choose who they're going to select as their first friend, because odds are she's the one you're going to be having sex with later. And they'd come in, make sure they have a good few connections at the very beginning of the evening and come back to them later. I love watching this game because the other cities around the world hadn't caught on to that. They were like 5 drinks and maybe I have enough courage to go and talk to someone. These ladies were like, yeah, no, I've got, let's see, I've got 6 hours. I'm going to make the most of it. And so this one venue had an outdoor hot tub, and it was a wraparound terrace with, I mean, it was the penthouse. So the floors of New York, the views of New York City were incredible at night. And we were so high up, no one could see us. So I went, I was walking around the penthouse. It suddenly got very quiet. We finished up the entertainment and we stopped playing games, and everybody had more or less their first intimate kiss. So, it's that point in the night where it changes from being a bit of a party to a sex party. And so I was like, where is everybody? It was like a summer's night. So I thought maybe they're outside. So I go out to the hot tub, and literally 80 women are in this hot tub. And first I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is too much. Because obviously I'm concerned about safety. And the reason it was so quiet was because nobody was talking. They were all squished into this hot tub together, like 80 bodies, mostly topless, naked, and everybody was making out. So nobody was talking. And I'm just like, wow. Like this moment of silence, and all you can hear is like and groans and kissing and the sound of lips and just sound of pleasure. And they were in sync. It was like orchestrated almost, every woman was just in her moment. And I so wanted to take a photo, but it's just, I cried because
Oh.
that was what I was going for, that she could sink into her body once more. And yeah, and they were perfectly happy, just squished in like sardines together in that hot tub, just touching and kissing and groaning. Yeah, I just got goosebumps because I'm still remembering it was their relief that there was something else for them in this world, that they didn't have to rush to the next task, rush to being the perfect wife. New York's so competitive. And there they were able to just be in their femininity as one. It was definitely a moment in time.
Mm.
Mm.
You paint the picture very well, and it really does sound like something from a movie. I can see why you would like to recreate it.
Yeah, hopefully one day. I've just finished my book, so
Oh,
the memoir will hopefully spark some movie producers'
have you published your
temptation to turn
book?
this.
Or you've just finished
No,
writing it?
I just finished writing the first draft, so it's a
Ah,
manuscript. So yeah, we will see what happens next.
okay. That's really exciting. So, another tradition that we have on the podcast is asking you a question sourced from one of the listeners. And today's question is actually from a man with many bi women friends. And he says, I
Mm.
see a lot of my bi women friends struggle to initiate with other women. Would you have any advice for those who are intimidated by the idea of asking a woman on a date or approaching them for play? Because in his observation, he is thinking this is because of nervousness, because they're used to having men initiate with them. So they're not necessarily used to the dealing with the fear of rejection. So, do you agree with his observation? And what advice do you have for bi women to initiate with other women?
Mm. Yeah, it's really an issue actually because we are so used to men making the move on us, right? What do you say? How do you get across that you're actually romantically or sexually interested in her and that you don't want to be just friends? And key is to not get into the friend zone immediately, which is what oh, hi, I like your dress. You know,
Mm,
no. I love your hair and makeup is a compliment, but it's not going to get the message across. Um, so myself, I am particularly direct because there's no other way around it. I just have to say the words. And I figure, if it's going to be one of us, it may as well be me. At least then the job gets done.
mm-hmm,
So typically, if this is a complete stranger in a bar, I would eye contact. I would absolutely make eye contact with her, and I'd look at her in a way men look at women, which is hungry and desiring. So that there's no mistake, and that is how I'm feeling, right? So it's not hard to express what you feel. Just do it. Um, and then, yeah, here comes the nerve-wracking bit. You're going to have to walk over there and say, I find you very attractive.
mm-hmm,
No mistake then. She's not going to think, oh, she's just being nice. No, like you're making a sexual advance. And I also, because I carry some like Scut Club cards on me, I'll invite her to a Scut Club party, and then she'll say, "Well, what's that?" And I get the chance to explain that it's a play buddy for women only, and I'd love her to join. And that's also a great way to find out very quickly
mm-hmm,
whether that's something she's into.
mm-hmm,
Um, so that's also helpful because
mm-hmm.
at that point she's either going to say, "Oh, thanks, but I'm not into girls," or she'll say. Um, I'd love to, but I'm more private. I prefer one-on-one. And that's also a great way to then suggest maybe a drink, just the two of you.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice.
But
Thank you.
often, yeah, I also go straight in with May I Kiss You, after,
Mm,
and I do it pretty early as well because it gets awkward the longer you leave it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, be
And
direct.
you don't
What's
want to
the
be that
worst that can
person at
happen?
2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Hey, men got used to rejection pretty quickly, so it hasn't discouraged them. They still keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it too.
Mm-hmm. So, Skirt Club began as events and it's grown into this cultural movement. What do you see as the next chapter for Skirt Club?
Um, well, actually, we do have a next chapter about to unravel. We
Oh,
are releasing in the new year. We're releasing an app that allows women to socially connect and make BBS by besties, as they call them. And I find a lot of what women are looking for is just connection, to be heard, to be seen. Um, sure, like making out's fun and all that, but like having a group of friends who get you and you don't have to explain yourself to as a bisexual woman is extremely supportive.
mm-hmm.
Um, because our straight friends don't always get it. Hey, and having a friend that you can go out with, whether it's like just for fun, shopping, cocktailing, or chatting to other women, like having a bit of a partner in crime. Yeah, it's great. And I think women would, yeah, they would elevate a lot quicker with each other as a sisterhood as much as exploration sexually. So our app will expand our network that way and allow women to meet all over the world online as much as offline, which is, where we've been until now, which is we've been doing a lot of live events every year. I think we do over 300 events a year
Wow.
globally. And if you're not living in one of the big cities where we're hosting, like it's hard for you to join in the fun. So
Mm-hmm.
having an app allows that, they can meet, group chat, um, online chat. It's just going to help every woman have a part of this.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That sounds amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. Will it be called the Skirt Club app?
Just simply skirt and
Ah,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
awesome. So, for the women
Yeah.
listening who might be thinking of coming to the events that you're having in Australia in December, can you just speak a little bit to the different types of events that you're hosting? Because it's my understanding not all of them are sex parties.
That's right. I actually do more socials and sex
Mm,
parties these days because that's been the flavor. Like I mentioned, women looking to connect first and foremost before a hookup or an exploration. So we've been doing a lot more cocktails, socials. We've even been doing fun stuff like topless yoga and daytime activities, which, yeah, are just as great. And also, there's been a lot of movement towards not drinking alcohol. So, like, we've just baked in a lot more fun stuff. Maybe we go lingerie shopping together, like as an evening activity. But like, it's yeah, a lot more socials going on. So, having said that, of course, Australia is very sexy still. Like it likes the all or nothing approach, right? So, Sydney, we're hosting actually a collaboration with a group called Strip Her, and it's a very soft, sensual, think pole dancing in the dark,
mm,
without the poles, and it's a more of an experience. So we invite Scut Club members exclusively to enjoy sensual dance in the dark and in your lingerie, which is very liberating. So I'll be hosting that on December 6th in Sydney. I do think that one's sold out, however. And then Melbourne, December 11th in St Kilda, I'll be hosting a cocktail at the Lady Peacock with burlesque performance, and then on to an after party at a private location. And that we call a mini skirt because there's two parts to the evening, and you can join one or both, right? So it's a very
mm.
nice way to come meet other women. And if you want to stay and join us later, you can. Um, and then in Brisbane, I'll be hosting actually just a cocktail. So it's because I'm in town, Brisbane members can come join me for a drink. It's going to be December 15th. Yeah, and that's more social. But of course, in all these cities, we're hosting play parties as well. They're just at different times of the year. So yeah, stay tuned. Our website now carries all of our events of 2026 already up until March, and we have already planned up until June. So all the larger destination events and play parties are set in stone early in to see by December they'll be released so that our wonderful members can plan ahead. As women, we know we like to plan. We've got lots of things to juggle. So we'll be hosting bigger parties and let's see destination events like let's see, we've got on the books right now Ibiza, New York, Austin, Orlando, and we're considering something in Bali, which I'm going to just talk to our members about when I get into town. So, yes, a little closer for you guys.
That sounds absolutely incredible. So, where can listeners find you and your events in the global Skirt Club community?
Yeah, you can find us on our website at scutclub.co.uk. Here, you can join as a member and meet other women in your city near you, buy tickets to our events, and get to know what's coming up. We also have a blog on the website talking a lot around first time and what it feels like, and that's accessible to everyone. You can also find us on social on our Instagram. It's just at Skirt Club, or me personally at Genevieve LeJeune. My account is private; it's for women only. Yeah, that's right. I make it just for the girls, and yeah, Facebook as well. So yeah, come and find us there.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, Genevieve, thank you so much for sharing your erotic realm with us. And thank you for your leadership, your vision, and for giving women around the world a place to remember themselves. As a bisexual woman myself, I'm incredibly inspired by your mission and I'm really thankful that a community like Skirt Club exists. So thank you again.
Thank you for your kind words. It's been an absolute pleasure. Well, my pleasure is your pleasure after all, right?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm podcast. Thank you for listening to the Erotic Realm. If this episode stirred something in you, please take a moment to follow the show, leave a rating, or write a review on wherever you're listening. It helps more people find the show and brings visibility to this deeper conversation about eroticism and self-understanding. I'd also like to invite you to dive deeper into the psychology of desire, including my writing, research, and upcoming courses over at psychologyofdesire.com. And if you want the full experience, join thousands of curious minds on my Substack at psychologyofdesire.substack.com. This is where I release the Psychology of Desire case files, behind-the-scenes thoughts, and intimate reflections every week, plus more. Until next time, stay curious, stay embodied, and keep exploring. Also, as always, stay perverted.